I think we could all use a happy face in these uncertain economic times. This is the new face for Mazda, and they've decided to put it on first, the new Mazda 3, and it'll be coming in the MX-5 Miata later this year. I don't know, I kind of like a smile once in a while.
I agree, Zach. I really like the front end of this thing. It makes me think of Sally Carrera from the movie Cars. Very, I don't know, cartoon-like. Now, even if you don't like it, there's one thing that I've learned over the years is that these new designs really do tend to grow on you after a while.
Mazda 3, you ready?
Ready?
Here we go.
One, two, three.
Cheese!
That's kind of cheesy, Zach.
That was your idea.
I don't write these scripts.
Mazda should be smiling because the Mazda 3 is their best-selling vehicle in Canada. In fact, the Mazda 3 sells better in Canada than any other market in the world per capita. In fact, in overall sales, Canada is second only to the United States.
This second generation is based on the old platform, so it's got the same wheelbase as the outgoing model, and it's almost the same size. There are two versions, the sedan, which is the most popular, and then this, the sport hatchback. Both of these vehicles are available with two choices of engines. Both the sedan and hatch are sold as a base GX, then the GS, and the top model GT. Regardless of trim level, Mazda has set out to exceed customer expectations with above-average standard features and a level of finish unheard of in a compact car.
And they've succeeded. The very first generation Mazda 3 was the benchmark, or it set the benchmark for compact cars and even more expensive vehicles because of the finish and the fit that they had on the inside of that car. And this one is even better. They've got soft touch materials on the dash, the seats are more comfortable, the shifter is being raised up to make it easier, they've got a wraparound cockpit design, and the information display has been put up higher on the dash so it's easier for the driver to see. The standard features list is impressive with power doors and windows, tilt and telescopic steering, auxiliary jack, height adjustable driver's seat, and front side and curtain airbags. The back seat remains the same comfortable space, and they split and fold to offer a very useful cargo area, especially in this sport model.
Well, Zach already mentioned the soft touch dash, but just have a look at the interior in here. It's absolutely beautiful. Everything is very well laid out. You've got nice padded doors, and there's great accents of silver throughout. On some of the trim levels, you can get Bluetooth connectivity with audio playback, satellite radio, nav system, and leather seats. And it's really funny, Zach, to think that just 5 years ago, these were things that were only available on high-end luxury vehicles.
Well, there's one major complaint for me, Lacey. I've got news for you, Mazda. We live in Canada. It gets cold here. You can only get the heated seats on this top-of-the-line GT version.
True that. Kind of disappointing. Now, there are 3 trim levels to choose from and different option packages available, so go to our website to check them out. The same 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that was found in last year's model has been carried over to this year's model in both the sedan and the sport version. It's got 148 horsepower, and you get a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed automatic transmission. The exciting news is that the optional 2.3-liter engine is now replaced by the same 2.5-liter 4-cylinder that's found in the Mazda 6. This is very impressive for a compact car. The new engine has 167 horsepower and 168 pound-feet of torque. This setup's only available on the GT version, but for those people that really place a premium on performance, I wouldn't look at any other trim level. The GT gets a 6-speed manual and the same 5-speed automatic from the base unit. The base engine gets 8.1 liters per 100K in the city and 5.9 on the highway, with the larger engine that jumps to 10.1 in the city and 6.9 on the highway. I love driving this car. It's got such a peppy engine, the steering's responsive, the clutch has a nice light feel to it, and it takes corners unbelievably. But what really sets this vehicle apart for me is the interior. You just feel like you're driving a vehicle that's a little bit more upscale. Everything just looks so great. It's well laid out and simple to use.
Now, I consider the main competition for this car the Toyota Corolla and the Honda Civic, but I've always held the Mazda 3, especially with the larger engine, above those vehicles in terms of handling and performance. But you know what? When you look at the base 2-liter engine, I think the Honda Civic is definitely a competitor for the base unit because that car also has great handling. But when you factor in this wraparound dash, the sporty interior, I think this car still sort of measures out a little bit ahead of those two vehicles if you're someone that's performance-oriented. I particularly like the higher information display, which is easier to read in bright sunlight. The shifter is closer at hand and the wraparound dash is definitely sporty. Unfortunately, traction control and stability control are only offered on the top GT trim. But one interesting feature is the inclusion of xenon headlights on some models. This is a first in this class of car. We mentioned this vehicle is based on the old platform, but they have tweaked it to make it better. First of all, that larger 2.5-liter engine, but they've also adjusted the brakes, and they are now more responsive than ever. Also more responsive is the steering. But when you get into some twisty roads, the steering kind of has a numb feel to it. It doesn't give you a lot of feedback to the driver. Some other adjustments they've made on the GT version we have here. There's more bolstering in the seats for lateral support, which is excellent. And you also get either 16 or 17-inch wheels, which provide more grip.
The Mazda 3 offers a lot of value. The base sedan starts at $15,995 and the Sport's at just under $17,000. If you want to get the top of the line model with all the bells and whistles, it's going to cost you around $27,000. So Zach, I'm curious, what do you think of the new Mazda 3?
Well, the first generation Mazda 3 was at the top of my list when you got the larger 2.3-liter engine for best-in-class handling and driving dynamics. And that doesn't change with the Mazda 3. The second generation actually gets better because now they've got that new larger 2.5-liter engine. It has, I haven't used this through the whole review, more zoom. The interior finish is also best in class, and the features that come with this car are amazing if you want to spend the extra money. On the downside for me, the styling on the front is polarizing. Either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. I kind of like it. It's grown on me since it's been out for a little while. And the other thing is heated seats only on the top model. That's a real no-no in Canada. It should be available as an option on lower-level cars. Lacey, what do you think?
Well, Zach, I agree with you on a lot of the points that you've made. I really like the new 2.5-liter engine, and when you throw it in with that 6-speed transmission, the car is so much fun to drive. I absolutely love the exterior styling. I've actually had 3 or 4 people already comment and say how much they like it too, so way to go Mazda. And I love the interior. The fit and finish is fantastic, and the use of different materials, it just looks great. Now, one of the upgrades you can get is the navigation system, and I use that a lot. And a really cool feature is the fact that the navigation controls are mounted in the steering wheel. However, the navigation-mounted controls on the steering wheel is something that I don't like either. It can be very distracting for the driver, and if you do have a passenger in the car with you, they don't actually have any nav controls that they can use. It's only the driver. And another dislike for me is the fact that there's not a lot of room in the back seat.
Okay, so we like the car. The top 3 best sellers in this class are the Civic, the Corolla, and this Mazda 3. How do you place them in your mind for the way you like them?
You know what, Zach, with this new 2010 Mazda 3, gonna be honest, I think it's probably #1 for me, and the reason being is the styling, especially on the inside. I've always loved the Honda Civic, but the interior of this, I just like it a little bit more. What do you think?
Well, the standard features on the Mazda 3 are excellent as well, so it goes to the top of the pack for that. I do, however, like the base Honda Civic. It's a very close vehicle for the base version of the Mazda 3, but I think those 2 cars are at the top of the list.
But Zach, with the Honda, you don't get the big smile.
For complete specs, go to our website at drivingtelevision.com.
Brought to you by Driving.ca, Canada's automotive authority.